All right, so let's do one more. Let me scroll down again, and let's see, what do we want? Let's do number 35. Same page. Again, looking for a square root. The number given, so find the square root of 2i. So if we draw 2i, excuse me, 2 minus 2i is the question. I apologize. I think we just did 2i. 2 minus 2i. All right, so 2 minus 2i. So we got a 2 and a negative 2. So the real part is 2, and so this is 2 minus 2i. Well, this looks a lot like a 45-degree angle because it's equidistant and it's bisecting it. So it's negative pi by 4 here, or the value between 0 and 2 pi would be 7 pi by 4. So we draw theta is 7 pi by 4. And again, here we're in Q4. Okay, so R, we need to put it in trig form. We're going to use de Moivre's theorem. And in doing so, we get to R equals the square root of 2 squared plus 2 squared. I think we've done something similar to this, right? Excuse me, this is a negative 2. Still add, but it's negative 2 squared. Again, it doesn't change the answer here. We're going to have 4 plus 4, which is 8, which is 2 root 2. That's what R is. So we've got R, we've got our angle, which is pi by 4. So in trig form, we have 2 root 2, or you can just do root 8, doesn't matter. We have cosine first, 7 pi by 4. And then we have I sine, 7 pi by 4. And that's what 2 minus 2i is. So if we want to take the square root, we raise this to the 1/2 power. So this would be 2 minus 2i to the 1/2 equals this. All right, so now we do the same thing. We take our r and raise it to the 1/2 power. And with the insides, we're going to drop the 1/2 in. So this is what's happening. 1/2 multiplies here by the 7/4, or 7 pi by 4, multiplies here as well. And it's going to be our exponent for this whole thing. Oops. All right. So let me change that back to the 8. So I'm going to just change this back to 8. So that's going to be 8 to the 1/4 power. So root 8. And let's see, because the square root of the square root is a 4th root. And then we have cosine of 7 pi by 8 plus I sine of 7 pi by 8. Okay, so with this, you're going to have to use a calculator. This is not a unit circle value that we're going to have here. Now, our cosine should be positive because we're in quadrant 4. Our, excuse me, we're not. What am I doing? Yeah, excuse me, we're not in quadrant 4, we're in quadrant 2. So the sine will be positive and the cosine will be negative. That's what we'll have. Excuse me. All right, so we have root 8 or fourth 8, and when we calculate these values, well, let's just do it in the calculator. All right, so let's just figure out what these cosine and sine are first. I'll leave that fourth root there. All right, so first of all, let's check for radians. We are in radians, so that's good. So I want cosine. I found the pi, by the way. So cosine of 7. Pi is the caret. So the second function of the caret gives us pi divided by 8. And that value is going to be equal to negative 0.9238, 9239, excuse me. Let's multiply that by the fourth root of 8 so that we have one number there. So we're going to multiply that by 8 to the 0.25 power to the 1/4 power, so 0.25 is the exponent. And I get negative 1.554. So let's write that in before we forget. So let's just clear off this. So this equals negative 1.554. That's what 4th 8 times cosine of 7/8 is. And now let's do it for sine of 7 pi over 8. All right, so sine 7 pi over 8. And again, this should be positive. All right, that negative 12 doesn't mean it's negative at all. And I multiply by 8, so that's a problem anyway. So let's not do that. Let's try it again. Sine 7 pi divided by, not multiplied by. All right, so that's a number that looks more realistic. That other one would put us very, very close to 0, and that shouldn't be where we were. So now we're going to multiply this by 8 to the 0.25 power. Multiply, not divide. Because it's the fourth root. All right, I got 0.644, let's say. All right, so 0.644. So plus 0.644. So this is one answer, and we have to essentially add pi to the whole thing. However, again, just like a normal square root, this is a plus and minus answer. So another answer should be is going to be negative 1.554 plus, and this should be an I, plus 0.644 I, which comes out to positive 1.554 minus 0.644 I. And they'll be on the direct opposite sides of the unit circle at the same distance from the origin. You can draw a line through them and it'll cut through the origin. All right, so again, you're just going to have to deal with the square roots. You don't have to deal with the cube roots or the fourth roots or anything like that. The only assigned problems that I was talking about and the only quiz questions or test questions that you'll get will deal with the square root types of these. And that ends this unit.